guys, welcome back to Days of Darkness and welcome to my review of A Nightmare on Elm Street. This one came out in 1984. It's starring Heather Langenkamp, Robert Englund, and Johnny Depp, and was written and directed by the legend Mr. Wes Craven. Just to hop right into the spoiler-free section here, we first need to talk about just the legacy of this movie and of this franchise. Nightmare on Elm Street, I would argue, is one of the most, if not the most, successful horror franchises in the entire genre. You look at all the places Freddy Krueger has popped up, constant pop culture references, video games, fucking a TV show, which really wasn't that great in my opinion, 9 fucking movies. I mean, this franchise is so damn successful, and the biggest reason for that I will get into here in a second, but also we need to acknowledge what, in my opinion, is just as important. The concept of this movie, to me, is one of the best and one of the scariest in all of horror. Having a nightmare is something that even as a kid you're impacted by. You know, it's a constant threat, you know, but it's the only thing that your parents can tell you to console you is, oh, it was just a nightmare. It's not real. And the genius fucking Wes Craven, with a little real world influence. A lot of people know the story of something very similar happening in real life. Obviously, I don't think it's as crazy as this movie gets, but just someone complaining about nightmares and then all of a sudden they're dead. And Wes Craven took that inherent fear and, well, that inherent assurance of, oh, well, it's just a nightmare, it's not real. He combined those things and created something incredible. I have my problems with this movie, most notably the rules of it and just how certain things happen. And we'll get into all of that, but make no mistake, I fucking adore this movie. It's a classic, flaws be damned. To me, this movie is fucking revolutionary. This is, without a doubt, one of the most influential and one of the best horror movies of all time. And the other reason why this franchise is so damn successful is the fact that behind the glove and behind the makeup, we have Robert Englund. Anytime I turn on A Nightmare on Elm Street, any one of the movies in this series, despite the fact that it does get pretty bad towards the end, and even like Freddy vs. Jason, Robert Englund is absolutely fucking incredible. Like, one of the best performances in all of horror. I love him so much because for the 80s slashers, it's not just some silent guy behind a mask. Shout out to Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, Leatherface to a certain extent. No hate on them. No hate at all. But to me, Freddy Krueger is an entirely different animal. He's so damn scary, especially in these first couple. Like, they pump up the terror on him quite a bit, and it fucking shows. Holy shit, Robert Englund, Freddy Krueger is fucking scary in this. Like, he does some shit in this that even still, like, this movie does not scare me. But, like, as a kid, if I saw this as a kid, I would have been done. Like, there's no, like, debate in my head. I would have been fucking terrified of Freddy Krueger, which makes me love him even more, as weird as that may sound. But yeah, man, that'll do it for the spoiler-free section. Obviously, without a shadow of a doubt, if you have not checked this movie out, please, for the love of God, go check out A Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm really excited to get through these movies. I'm well aware of how bad they get, but damn it, it cannot take away from the fact that this fucking movie is great. Let's go ahead and spoil the shit out of this motherfucker. Stick around. All right, spoiler time. Your ass has been warned. Now, let's just hop right into it here. So I love the opening of this. Just getting that small frame of Freddy just constructing his glove. Awesome shit, man. You just get to see how it literally opens up with showing you one of the most iconic weapons in all of horror. Like, I put this right up there with Jason's machete, Michael's knife, and probably even a little bit above those because it's just so damn unique. Just that razor, those razor fingers, and all the weird shit he can do with them. Besides, fucking gutting people with them. He's just able to scratch along pipes in a boiler room and chalkboards and all that. Fucking just fantastic shit, man. Really, really cool. And then we go right into a nightmare with Tina. We get a goat and just all this weird shit. And she's running around this boiler room. And we were able to get our first look at Freddy. And I like that we don't really get a good look at him. Like, we can see him, but it's not too out there. We really don't get a good look until a little later on. But yeah, man, he is, like I said, man, if I saw this as a kid, I'm done. I'm finished. But yeah, man, and I like the fake out we get with Tina of pretty much you would think as a new viewer to this movie, you would think, okay, she's the final girl, she's gonna beat Freddy at the end, yada yada yada. We get to her house. We meet the other characters. We meet Nancy, who's played by Heather Langenkamp, and Glenn, played by fucking Johnny Depp. That's just awesome, man. I always gush about that. I actually watched this a little while back with my girlfriend and her parents, and I said, like, yeah, it's Johnny Depp. And my girlfriend's mom was like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, that's a little young Johnny Depp, man. Awesome shit. But anyways, we meet all of them, typical, cast of teenagers. And yeah, man, we're just led to believe, and we meet her dickhead boyfriend, Rod, and all that jazz, and we're just led to believe that, okay, she's gonna be our heroine through the movie. And she is not. So she's talking with Nancy about how they've all been dreaming about this guy with razor fingers and shit, and you would think that it would be kind of more of a holy fuck, are you, like, how are we dreaming of the same person? But they just kind of gloss over it, which I'm like, okay. Like, they just kind of write it off. They're like, well, it's weird, but whatever. So then we get our first red flag that maybe Tina's not going to be living through this. As archaic as it may sound, her and her boyfriend get down to doing the dirty. And and we get just these hilarious sex sounds off camera from Johnny Depp's perspective, and he's just, I call him Johnny Depp, Glenn. We get it from Glenn's perspective. And Nancy wants to stay there because Tina's so scared of her nightmares and stuff, and she's fucking Rod in their bedroom, and Glenn's just looking at the ceiling. He's like, morality sucks. And he fucking puts the pillow over his head as they finish. Yeah. But yeah, man. And then we get the second nightmare sequence. By the way, the nightmare sequences are the best parts of this movie, without a doubt. The style, the lighting, the cinematography. Wes Craven went fucking nuts with these things. Limited, money and special effects and all that. I mean, this film had a pretty decent budget. But just for the limitations of the time, they did some amazing shit as far as, like, just the nightmares and stuff like that. The ending's a different story. We'll get into that. That's one of the big problems I have with this movie, as Wes Craven himself does as well. But anyways, but yeah, man. So we get Tina once again running from Freddy Krueger, and it ends up with him tackling her on her bed, right? Yeah, tackling her on her bed. And we get the first kill of the film, which we will get into later on. But yeah, man, fucking just out of nowhere, we just see rip And then Rod's obviously fucking freaking out because from his point of view, she's just flying around this room and all of a sudden blood everywhere. And he fucking runs because what the fuck are you gonna think? Of course people are gonna think you fucking killed her. Like, you're the only one in there with her. So Rod's like, I'm fucking out of here. And like, he splits. And yeah, man, and then we immediately are thrust into this new character with Nancy, and she becomes our main protagonist. For real this time. She's actually the main protagonist. Really like Nancy. One of my favorite final girls of all time. Just a fun, great performance as well by Heather Langenkamp. As funny as the mother thing is, of her just constantly calling her mom mother. As someone with a mom, I don't think I have ever legitimately, seriously called my mom mother. And I mean, I don't know. Anytime I have, it's been like sarcastic, like, okay, mother, like that sort of thing. But like, I kind of joke about it because of this movie with her. But it's just weird. But other than that, I really, really like Nancy. We get a lot of good shit with her and her mom, as far as her mom being an alcoholic. Her parents, to the best of my knowledge, are separated. I mean, we only see her mom and her dad together once, and it's after Tina dies in a police station. So as far as I can see, they're split. And yeah, man, we get that. We get the fact that her mom's an alcoholic. And I love that it's very subtly shown, even at the beginning. Like, it doesn't really go ham-fisted with it, as far as introducing the fact that she's an alcoholic. Like, bright and early in the morning, she's pouring vodka into a cup, just like normal, which is how it is, man. If you're an alcoholic, it's just clockwork. You don't really think about it. And yeah, dude, really good way. Obviously, later on, they kind of go a little bit more when she's drunk in certain scenes and stuff like that, and, that's going to happen. But I thought that was handled pretty well. I thought they could have gotten a little distasteful with that, and I think they brought it back down to earth, that whole relationship between the two. But yeah, man, so it just follows her. She goes to school. Well, before that, she has to... she sees a cop following her around, and then Rod kind of covers up her mouth and drags her into the bushes and is like, yo, like, what the fuck's going on? And he's like, they're gonna kill me, aren't they? She's like, they're not gonna kill you. And then sure enough, he gets fucking arrested. And her dad used his own daughter as bait, which is pretty fucked up, but they got him. And like I said, any logical human being would think, yeah, he fucking killed her. So he goes to jail, she goes to school, and we get probably my favorite nightmare sequence of the movie. Her falling asleep, and all of a sudden she wakes up, and it's very subtle at first. Well, wakes up, you know what I mean? Excuse me. Just the guy giving the presentation at the front of the room, and he's talking in his voice like this. And just very subtle stuff. All the artwork is different. There's like fetuses. It's like painted fetuses on the wall and windows and shit like that. And just really fucked up stuff. And so he ends up, she ends up going out into the hallway, and we see Tina all bloody and in a fucking body bag, and she's like, Nancy, and she looks back. Looks over to her left, I believe, and you just see this fucking bloody body bag just getting drugged through this hallway. It's like, oh god, and just the visual of her, it's scary as shit, man. And yeah, we get that awesome, I'd say Freddy's like much scarier than these first couple ones, because he is. But even now in the first nightmare, he has some little funny quips when he poses as a hall monitor. And she runs into this hall monitor, knocks her down. She's like, where's your hall pass? She's like, screw your hall pass. She runs past her, and you just hear, hey! And then she turns back. He's like, no running in the halls. And he has the fucking knife. It's like, ah, or the knives. Good shit, man. Fucking love this movie. But yeah, man, just awesome, awesome stuff. We transition to a boiler room. She burns her fucking arm, and that's how she discovers, holy shit. Like, if I take something from the dream, it'll come back with me in reality. If I'm holding something or something, that's how she discovers that. Freaks out in her classroom, which I imagine was pretty... I don't think she really had the mental capacity to be embarrassed, to be honest, at that point. But yeah, man, so she is convinced that something is fucking up. We get... she tries to pull Freddy out of the dreams pretty quickly. She has her boyfriend Glenn stand by, and that idiot falls asleep, so she's kind of boned. But she goes over to the jail, and we get Rod's death, which is a good time to talk about my problem with this movie. Like, the ending's the ending. I don't really like the ending at all. It's hard to find someone who does. But I don't get the rules as far as the dream world and the real world in this one. Because up until this point, it's pretty cut and dry. Freddy can only be in the real world, and if he cuts you, or you burn yourself, or you take something, or yada, 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 you'll wake up with that. That makes sense. So, Rod's death is weird. I know I try not to describe kills until kill the film, but I kind of have to here. He's sleeping in his jail cell, and granted, this happens a little later on. She talks with him, and yada, yada, yada. But I don't get how he's sleeping, and this is all in the real world, because they run in there and see this, and the sheet wraps around his neck, like, in the real world. So I'm like, I don't get it. Like, and it's hard to even explain, because it's like, Freddy's in the dream world. He's dead, as we find out later on. And he can only be in the dream world unless you take him out. So why is he able to impact shit in the real world? It's a problem I have with Glenn's death, too. And some of the other shit in this movie. There's one part of this movie that just makes no sense to me. But yeah, that's the only real distracting thing of this movie, is they're not real clear about rules. I don't think Wes Craven was super concerned about it, to be totally honest. Because if you're watching this for the first time, you're not really thinking about it. But I've seen this movie so many times that I'm like, I have to analyze it. I'm like, wait, well, that doesn't make sense. And how does that happen? I don't want to make it seem like I don't like this movie because of it. That's not the case at all. I still think this is one of the best horror movies ever made, but that bogs it down for me a little bit. I mean, as legendary as this movie is, that's an issue. That is a real issue, in my opinion. But anyways, so, shenanigans. We eventually get the... I'm not going to just run down this whole movie. We get the background, eventually, of Freddy Krueger when her mom, drunkenly, explains the fact that he was a child murderer in Springwood, and which is located in Ohio, which is fucking hilarious, because there is... I know people give Halloween shit for having a palm tree way off in the background, but, like, this is supposed to be in Ohio, and, like, there's a scene on a bridge, and, like, this is in Springwood, Ohio, and there's a scene on a bridge where it's just palm tree, boom, right in your face for, like, a minute straight. like, it's not way off in the distance, it's not anything like that, it is, boom, random palm tree in Ohio. So, I talk shit. Maybe they planted it. Who knows? But it's just funny. Anyways, but basically he was a child murderer in the town of Springwood. He got off, and so the parents banded together and burned him and killed him. And then I guess at some point he was able to resurrect himself in hell or the dream world or whatever you want to call it. And he ends up terrorizing their kids as revenge, which is like, that's pretty fucking crazy. And then we get into the ending. So first of all, we need to talk about Glenn's death. The bed. Because again, that's one of those things. Great fucking visual. As far as the visual aspect of this kill, I fucking love it. Him getting drugged down to the bed by the glove and getting just an unrealistic amount of blood, which every single person I've ever watched this movie with just goes, people don't have that much blood. I'm like, I know, just shut up. Just shut up. I know. But yeah, man, the visual of it, fucking incredible. I will never, ever badmouth this kill visually. In universe, it doesn't make any fucking sense. It's because, once again, how is Freddy able to impact shit in the real world? How is Freddy's physical arm able to come into the real world and do that? If you would have had something happen in the dream world and then that's the result in the real world, yes, the hole in the bed's a little hard to explain, but I would have accepted that. But the whole glove thing and yada, yada, yada. We didn't even talk about the bathtub. That's another one where it's like Freddy's glove is coming in between Nancy's legs and then he fucking like hears a knock and goes back down and... You know, and as iconic as that scene is, that's one of the most iconic scenes in this whole movie. Again, it doesn't make sense in universe. Visually, I fucking adore it. I adore both of these scenes, without a doubt. But yeah, man. So, Glenn's fucked. Actually, before that, it's pretty cool. We get the... And this is the scene that just makes no sense. This does not make any sense whatsoever. But I fucking love it because damn, Robert Englund is great. She's on the phone trying to reach Glenn, and all of a sudden it's Freddy's voice, and he's just like, "I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy." And then you see that tongue come out of the fucking phone. You're like, oh, which that unless she was like sleeping somehow, and the last act is a complete dream, which no, because then she just goes to sleep. So are we doing Inception shit here? I think Wes Craven's a good writer. I don't think he was thinking like that. So this just makes no sense. But it still is fucking great. She busts the phone up and yeah, man. So Glenn's fucking dead. And then we have a very weird ending. It starts out great. I love her going into the dream world. Then pulling Freddy out. And we get Freddy Krueger in the real world. Finally, a way that it makes sense. He's in the real world. He's here. And he is a very, very, very clumsy motherfucker. Like, he is just... I don't know what the excuse is. I don't know if I haven't been in the real world so long. It's hard for me to function or what. But he is a very clumsy, doopsy, dipsy motherfucker. Just all of a sudden. Still is a great last act, man. Obviously, Robert Englund does great here. She sets him on fire. Fucking sledgehammers fly into him. All this crazy shit. Really, really good stuff. And then we get... she sets him on fire. She thinks she has him dead to rights. Her dad busts in the door over from Glenn's house. And the massive chasm of blood, which I wonder how they... I want a scene in this movie of how they explain that. They just see this big fucking hole in a bed. And just blood everywhere. I want to see how they explain that. I don't think they do. Oh, well, I know they don't because the scene's not in the movie. But anyway, so he runs over from there. He goes up to Nancy and she sees... Really, really cool stuff here. We see the flame footprints in the, just going up the stairs. And it's just like, there's on fire footprints. pretty cool. Then we see Freddy pouncing on Nancy's mom. And I'm like, okay, he's just gonna fucking stab her and kill her. And he's on fire and shit, and she's clearly already dead. I'm like, okay, cool. Then when they pull the sheet back, Freddy's gone, which it's pretty well established by now that he doesn't have any powers anymore. I mean, obviously he's a little bit... His powers are significantly diminished. Like, it's hard to kill him. That's basically the only real power he has at this point. It is very, very hard to kill him, obviously, because he's been set on fire. He's been... all that shit. So when they pull the sheet back, he's just vanished. And Nancy's mom's burned corpse is lowering into this pit where the bed used to be. Again, are we in a dream here? Are we in reality? What's going on? Like, explain this to me, because I don't get it. And if there's a Nightmare on Elm Street super fan who sees this, please, for the love of God, explain this to me. Make this make sense. Again, I am sounding like I'm fucking dogging on this movie. I'm not. But the classics don't get a pass from me. If there's a problem, I'm gonna say it. Because that's a problem. At least in my mind. Maybe I'm not seeing something. So yeah, and then Nancy's reaction is severely underwhelming. She's just kind of like, oh shit, my mom's dead. Which, true. But yeah, so her dad obviously believes her now. So then he just leaves her alone. With a killer at large, clearly, he just leaves her. And then, whatever, that's the least of our problems here. And then Freddy, in an awesome, awesome visual. And again, the visual and the style of this movie is fucking impeccable. It's so good. Just you see him like rising underneath the sheet and just his bloody burnt face staining it from the inside coming out. And he just takes his claws and poke and rip and just comes out. Great shit, man. And again, the makeup of Freddy is so fucking good too. Just the look of him. I didn't even really talk about that a whole lot. Iconic. Amazing, amazing, amazing. So, and then she basically says, like, I know the secret now. It's like, I shouldn't, like, I don't fear you. You're not afraid. I'm not afraid of you. This is all just a dream. And that line there, I'm like, oh, okay, is it a dream? Because I don't think it is. Because you woke up and you didn't go to sleep since that. But then the next scene even takes more of a fucking wacky turn. Anyways. Oh shit, I am fucking dying. Anyways. But yeah, man, she goes, I'm not afraid of you. You're not real. You're shit. This is all just a dream. And Freddy tries to attack her and just fades away. Just kind of... Which I'm like, okay. Would have liked a little more of a climactic, like, holy shit type moment. Like him exploding or something. But, what are you going to get? It's a solid enough way to... It makes sense. Like, I don't fear you, so you don't exist. And then he just tries to attack her and just TV statics his ass out of the equation. Makes enough sense. In this weird ending. So then we go into just complete what the fuck territory. Now it's like, it was already confusing, but now you're just like... So she walked out of her bedroom door, out onto her porch. Completely different time of day. It's daylight outside. As I look into the daylight for some reason, just to, clarify, like, oh yeah, that's what daylight looks like. She goes out and completely different outfit on. She doesn't have that gray streak of hair, which is also a really nice touch. which I completely went past the dream experimentation scene where they try to research her dreams and all that shit. Good scene. But anyways, completely different hair, and she's just like, fine. And I'm like, Then her mom comes out, and I'm like, okay, this is a dream. But when did this become a dream? Because she's dead. She was stabbed to fucking death by Freddy and all this shit. I imagine stabbed to death, burned, lowered into this pit of bed. I don't know, pit and blue smoke, yada yada. She's dead. What the fuck? Then she's like, you know what, honey? I'm gonna stop drinking. And you're like, oh, okay. And she goes up, and all of her dead friends are in this car. And you're like, what? What the fuck? And Freddy, I guess, has inhabited this car because the fucking hood comes back on it, and it's the green and red sweater pattern on the top of it. So they get locked into this car and they drive away. And then her mom, in one of the funniest, like almost unintentionally funny, just gets like drug into the fucking mirror. Not the mirror. That's the remake. Gets drug into the little tiny window on the door, and like I usually don't badmouth special effects in 80s movies because I get it. The budget's not going to be that high. Just the constraints of the times. I'm usually very lenient on that stuff because I understand. This is different. This is different because it's so distracting. It's just like a clear dummy. But anyways, I'm not going to gloss too much on it because I don't want to sound like a dickhead. It's the 80s. You got to give them some leeway there. But the ending in general just doesn't make any sense at all. For such a fucking iconic movie, which again, I like this movie. Flaws aside, I like this movie. I adore this movie. But if you're going to ask me, do I like Texas Chainsaw more than this? Yeah, I fucking like Texas Chainsaw Massacre more than this. To me, it's one of the weaker classics because of all this shit. It's like it doesn't make any sense. Like, love this movie. If you fucking adore this movie and if this is your favorite horror movie of all time, I don't badmouth people's opinion in general because I'm not a dickhead, but I'm not gonna argue with you on that. It's a fucking iconic movie. But that shit doesn't make any sense, which, all props to Wes Craven. May you rest in peace, good sir. We miss you. We love you. I know that ending was tacked on because producers were like, just, Hollywood shit. And, so they changed the ending, and that's the ending that we get, is that weird, and not Robert Englund, fucking Wes Craven hated it. He hated that ending. So I'm not even bad-mouthing him. But the movie, in general, that's a flaw. Anyways, I don't want to fucking rant any longer. I think people get it. Like I said before, if you have not seen this movie, go out and see it. It's a fucking classic. It is essential horror viewing without a shadow of a doubt. Is it my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movie? No. Which we will, again, do a series ranking at the end of this series. We'll include Freddy vs. Jason in that as well, because that is technically a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, as well as a Friday the 13th. But yeah, man, to me, this is one of my favorite horror movies. It's probably top 20. I fucking love this movie, guys. I highly recommend you guys go out and see it. And yeah, man, without further ado, as amazing as this movie is, flaws be damned. The fucking kills in this movie are incredible. What little kills we do get. So let's just fucking get into it, man. Let's get into the blood, the guts, and the gory bits. Let's get into my kill of the film. Stick around. There are many things about A Nightmare on Elm Street that make the movie iconic. Whether it be Robert Englund's performance as Freddy Krueger, to the fucking just concept in general of being able to be killed in your nightmares. Such a great concept, so original. Countless things about this movie make this movie great. Flaws be damned. But to me, a standout is the fucking gore, dude. The gore in this movie is great. It is not a just 100% splatterfest. Besides Glenn's death, that's a different story. But to me, man, the kills in this movie, for what little we get of them, are fucking brutal, dude. Absolutely 100% brutal. Rod's death is cool. As weird and not... It just doesn't make sense to me. That aside, the good old neck snap, man, just being awake and realizing, oh my god, I'm about to be hung, is terrifying, and it's done pretty well, despite in-universe flaws. Glenn's death, what can you really even say about it? I debated it being kill of the film, and while the flaws do bring it down a little bit, just the visual of someone being pulled into a bed and just a chasm of the red stuff just shooting up into the ceiling and spreading along the ceiling and down the walls. And then his mom coming in and seeing this happen. All of it is just so impeccably grotesque and amazing. Fucking... The mom's death is pretty funny. Both of her deaths, whether it be the bed death with her being put down, which again visually is awesome. That, and then the her getting drugged into the window, which is not awesome. And yeah, man, this movie has a lot of really cool gore. But to me, what beats out all of it is that opening kill with Tina, man. Holy shit. Getting thrown around the room. Rod just seeing her body literally fly all over the place because he doesn't fucking know what's going on. And then you just get that visual of her shirt ripping open and then just 4 slash marks just boom right down her chest. And then blood's flying everywhere. She's still getting thrown around and... Oh my god, dude. Fucking great, man. And then all of a sudden, she's floating, he just slams her down on the bed, and just blood everywhere. And then, yeah, she just falls over. Incredible fucking kill. Memorable. One of the most terrifying scenes in this movie. Just awesome, man. So damn good. And yeah, man, that's going to do it for Nightmare on Elm Street, guys. Thank you for joining me on this, what promises to be a very interesting journey through the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Next time, we'll get into part 2. But before that, I'm going to split up the series review, kind of like I started with Friday the 13th. We're going to split these movies up and review a different movie in between each, just to keep the palette a little, unique. I know when I did Friday the 13th reviews, I kind of gave up on a different movie in between each entry. I kind of gave up on that, and it was just fucking Friday the 13th, which, some people were like, what the fuck, dude? All you review is Jason movies. Because I love Jason. Shut the fuck up. But anyways, we're going to stick with that format for the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise review. And we are going to review Get Out next time on Days of Darkness, which I am very, very excited for. And yeah, guys, thank you for joining me as always. I appreciate you supporting the channel and supporting me in my dream. Just thank you. Take care of one another. Keep watching horror, and have a good fucking day. All right, guys. Peace.